Alright, so we're all hyped for Fortnite Chapter 2 Remix. I'm excited, you're excited, we're all ready to get off the Chapter 5 island. I cannot wait to return to this era of Fortnite gameplay. But for a lot of you, this is going to be your first time here. This is going to be your introduction to, at the time, what was one of the most transformational periods in Fortnite's history. And it actually laid down a lot of the groundwork for a lot of the things you see in the game today. As I was trying to put myself back in this period of Fortnite, I started to think about a lot of the features that we had at that time. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized there are some features that I would really like to see come back, some that a lot of you have never experienced. There are so many elements that made Fortnite Chapter 2 as a whole successful, but there are 5 in particular that I want to point out that I think are must-haves for this upcoming remix season. Starting off with something that I actually quite frequently talk about at our number 5 slot, it's trap items. I would say that if you started Fortnite within the last couple of chapters, this is probably one of the most tragic things about the game that you don't even realize. See, for those of us who played the classic era of Fortnite Chapters 1 and 2, we know how different the game was. I've been a huge advocate of saying that Fortnite Chapter 5 didn't completely strip the game of its identity. However, there are a lot of things that I feel like are missing from the game as a longtime player. One of the most awesome and unique aspects of Fortnite were trap slots. Now, this is a feature that can only be used in builds mode, but the more I thought about this, the more I realized that I think this is the reason why builds is so stale as compared to previous seasons. See, trap slots added a whole new layer of dimension to the gameplay. Depending on what kind of trap item they have, they can be used for healing, rotation, defense. Trap slots had universal utility within Fortnite. Now, one thing I do love about Fortnite Chapter 5 is that they actually made trap slots useful again. Bringing the armored walls back was a great decision for Season 4, albeit I think it was one season too late. They definitely should have brought them back in Season 3, but I digress. One of the cool things that you're going to experience when going back to Fortnite Chapter 2 is the variety of trap items that we had. Launch pads and bounce pads specifically are 2 things I'm looking forward to. I've always loved launch pads. They're great for rotation and honestly kind of keep the flow of the gameplay a lot faster. Before we had cars, this was the best way to get around the map. Same could be said for bounce pads. They were great for rotating you out of storm quickly, but could also be used in combat situation for build battles. Not to mention we'll probably get campfires and turrets back, just things to spice up the gameplay so much more than just the standard build formula. And here's the thing that's been confusing me for the last couple of years. I don't know why, but it feels like Epic is genuinely afraid of these items inside of main BR. Even when it came to launch pads, it almost feels like Epic doesn't want us to use them. They'd rather have us use the cars on the island. And look, as cool as the cars are, in my opinion, they don't replace launch pads for me. I like the mobility of launch pads in Fortnite more than cars because launch pads are more unique. Being able to jump on a giant trampoline to deploy a glider to fly away is just wacky and cool. But looking at trap slots as a whole, going back into Fortnite Chapter 2, that is one of the returning features that I am excited to be using again. However, what's even more exciting to me is having a variety of different weapons and different rarities within the loot pool, which is actually going to take up our number 4 slot. I know that this point might feel like I'm beating on a dead horse, but this cannot be understated. Fortnite does not feel the same when you have every gun at every rarity. And for a lot of new players, you've never experienced an era of Fortnite where that wasn't the case. The way the game used to work in the first 2 chapters was so much more rewarding when it came to the loot pool. Yes, you might have a weapon that exists at every single rarity within the loot pool. However, there was a cosmetic, damage, and auditory difference between blue and purple. For example, a blue charged shotgun will not look the same as a purple or gold charge. At their core, they are the same weapon. One is a reskin of the other. However, psychologically, there is a difference when picking them up. Even when thinking about the pump shotgun, it just feels more rewarding to pick up a purple or a gold spaz. Just being able to find these different weapon types around the island and have the distinction between the different rarities just made the gameplay so much more rewarding. This is also why I'm hoping that they don't stick to the first 3 seasons of Fortnite to experiment with the loot pool. There are so many other really cool weapons that we got over the course of Chapter 2 that they could incorporate in here, and even if the theming is still on brand for the first 3 seasons of Fortnite Chapter 2, there are a lot of really other fun items that they can bring in. One of the other cool things about the loot pool at the time ties into our number 3 spot, which is actually being able to upgrade or side grade your weapons. Let's say, for example, I have a purple burst, but I don't like that weapon. I would prefer to have a gold AK. Well, that's simple. All you gotta do is upgrade your purple burst to a gold and then side grade it to an AK. That's right, you could actually transform one gun into a completely different one. In my opinion, this was a better version of the upgrade benches that we have on the Fortnite island now. You could actively upgrade the rarity of your weapon or side grade it to a completely different type. All it would cost you is a bit of your materials. The rarer the weapon, the more materials it costs. It was a very good trade-off and a rewarding system. Not to mention, every POI pretty much had a location where you could find an upgrade bench. It's not like how the upgrade benches work in Chapter 5 where you've only got 3 or 4 on the map and they have to be unlocked by a vault at one specific time. You could access these anywhere in the map at any point in time. time. Now, for some of the newer players, this may be a little off-putting to you because you like the idea of the upgrade benches being so rare. You like having to fight for certain locations on the map, having a purpose to go to a specific area to fight for something that has utility to you there. And listen, I totally understand that. Having to fight for something special on the island definitely can be fun. However, Chapter 2 wasn't devoid of that. They actually had things worth fighting for, it just wasn't upgrade benches. Keeping in theme with weapon rarity and upgrading your weapons, coming at our number 2 slot is Mythics. Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 2 is the first time this concept was fleshed out. A lot of you that didn't play during this time are probably familiar with Mythics' drum gun. We actually got a version of that on the Chapter 5 island. However, way before Chapter 5, way before we had medallions, way before we had mod benches inside of vaults, we had mythic POIs. Just like in Chapter 5, back in Chapter 2, we had specific bosses that would walk around the island that would carry mythic weapons. Sky's mythic Scar and Grappler, Midas's drum gun, Deadpool's dual hand cannons, Meowscle's AK, TNTina's bow. These are just some of the examples of mythic items that we had back in Chapter 2. Now, this is what's crazy. The mythics weren't the only thing that made landing at these POIs interesting. Outside of dropping their mythic, each boss had a key card that you would use to unlock a vault at every POI. That vault would then give you access to an insane amount of loot, giving you a crazy head start for your game. I know that not everyone is a fan of mythic items in BR, however, mythics don't guarantee you a win. They definitely give you an advantage being a weapon that has really busted stats. However, I think it's a really engaging concept that keeps gameplay exciting. It gives me something else to fight for outside of being the last player standing in the lobby. Now, outside of all these features that I've been talking about, there are so many other things that could be pulled from Fortnite Chapter 2 that could be brought into this remix season. However, with the things that I picked today, I wanted to be a bit more grounded. I wanted to choose items and features that I thought we would genuinely see in Fortnite Chapter 2 Remix. Now, there are a lot of other features that I and many other players would like to see come back. For example, alien spaceship abductions I think would be really cool, although I don't think they're going to have that for this season. If they maybe do a Chapter 2 Remix Part 2 and they do the second half of Chapter 2, I feel like that would be a bit more likely. Things like having an interactive 3D lobby. I know this is something that Loot Station's been wanting to have come back for some time, and a lot of you guys as well. I just don't see Fortnite bringing this back specifically, but I'm hoping that I'm wrong. Maybe they will do something special for this mini battle pass. Crafting is another brilliant feature that I would love to have back, but I just don't see them bringing any key features that far into Fortnite Chapter 2's history. These are all things that we can hopefully see later on in another remix season, or maybe even in Fortnite Chapter 6. However, there is one feature that I believe absolutely has to be in Fortnite Chapter 2 Remix. Otherwise, it's just not gonna feel right. And that would be the Shakedown mechanic. This is a long forgotten aspect of Fortnite, but any of my Chapter 2 OGs will remember how fun this mechanic was. Basically, anytime you knocked on an opponent, you had the ability to pick them up, shake them down, pull a little device out of their pocket, pull it out, and what it would do is scan their teammates' current locations. So think of it like this. If you and your friends are in a squad match, your friend Tim gets knocked down because Tim is always getting knocked, and he gets shaken down. Well, guess what? Now you and the rest of your pals are all exposed to the enemy team and any surrounding teams because you just got shaken down. It's basically like shooting a flare gun in the sky and scanning opponents without having to shoot the flare gun. This always made fights more intense because you never wanted to be that teammate that got knocked down and scanned. Not to mention it incentivizes you to hurry up and knock down players while also giving you the ability to scan the surrounding area for where your enemies might be. I remember back in the day, there were a lot of situations where you'd have those random straggler teammates that would wander off on their own, and you'd shake them down, scan the surrounding area, you'd find out that their teammates were somewhere on the other side of the map. This will also give you an idea of where to go for new fights. It was just an overall really fun mechanic at the time, and it made the gameplay more immersive and more cohesive with the spy theme that was going on for Chapter 2 Season 2. Just another example of Epic firing on all cylinders and coming up with new creative ways for us to enjoy Fortnite. Looking back at a lot of these old features really gets me excited for Remix, and it also has me wondering, for those of you who have never played in Fortnite Chapter 2, just hearing about a lot of this stuff, how does this make you feel? Does this make you more excited? Does it make you curious? How do you feel about the gameplay pattern from back then as opposed to what you get now? Do you feel like you may be getting more if you're going back in time playing some of the older versions of Fortnite, or do you feel like it's just the same as what we get now? I want you to leave a comment down below, and for all my Chapter 2 OGs, let me know how you're feeling about going back for the first time in, what, 3 years now? I'm excited. I know a lot of you are too. Anyway, I'm gonna end this one here. I love y'all. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.